Welcome to the Halo Effect, hospitality stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. Hospitality isn't just our profession, it's our passion. With decades of experience and countless stories to share, we've navigated the highs and lows of this dynamic industry, not just as professionals, but as a husband and wife team tackling the challenges of business and life together. This podcast is your invitation to step behind the curtain of the hospitality world. We'll share real experiences, lessons learned, and the moments that have shaped our journey, offering inspiration and insights for anyone walking a similar path. Whether you're just starting out or have years under your belt, we're here to remind you that every challenge is an opportunity and every story has the power to inspire. Hello and welcome back to the Halo Effect Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. We've been on a little bit of a break, Ashleigh, haven't we? It's been a bit of a hiatus.
We have, and for very good reason.
We've been travelling around a little bit. We're just back from a long holiday to Southeast Asia with our family, and we thought we'd sort of share a bit of our experiences, our observations. We'll see what we can get out of it, but I think we might have a few episodes to talk about.
In the spirit of the work that we do in the global hospitality industry, we've been spending some time experiencing it firsthand. So, I think it was just really, thought-provoking. And I think, for us, I guess that kind of insight into family travel in like long haul. And
First time we've done that, long haul.
And also, returning to Southeast Asia, which is a place that, many years ago I knew very well, and, wonderful to see so much of it still the same, but also really interesting to see how it's evolved as well. So, we thought we would, jump on and really have a conversation about, some of our sort of reflections and learnings and some of the experiences we had traveling as a family. So so I mean, so
what do you think? I mean, first stop was Phuket. How did it feel stepping back?
My second
with
home.
a family after a few years?
It was indeed. So I had been back to Phuket since I'd left working in Phuket, but that was about 13 years ago, and that was the first time that we'd sort of stepped foot into Thailand and Southeast Asia with our family. So it was really special going back. And firstly, flying directly into Phuket from Dubai was something, previously we would always have to transit via Bangkok. So, these huge Airbuses landing in Phuket airport, which is completely transformed as well. And they've added a huge new terminal, lots of amazing brands. E-visas, although I'm not sure the queue for immigration was any less than I remember. But it definitely felt, I would say, more of an experience aligned with the kind of higher end of tourism, which I think Phuket has tried to sort of position itself as over many years, kind of moving away slightly more from that kind of slightly budget backpacker to really positioning itself as a luxury destination. So I think the airport is very befitting of that positioning. And then, of course, you step out of the doors and you're hit with the wall of humidity, which I think, again, we've been to hot destinations with the kids, but that it's a different level of heat, isn't it? So I think that first impression, and then everything was so seamless. I have to say, we travelled with Emirates, who were fantastic with kids, from entertainment, feeding them, entertaining them, and then landing in Phuket. And of course, Thailand is such a friendly culture, and we'd booked to be collected from the airport just because it'd been such a long flight, and immediately the kids were just having such good fun with our driver and chatting to him, and we taught them a little bit of Thai, so they were just really interacting, and I think just really on the sort of same wavelength already with the sort of cultural perspective. So we'd kind of purposely, I think, treated ourselves to probably the best accommodation in that part of the trip. We had really planned it that we would have a real mixture of, villas right through to sort of homestays and more kind of smaller rustic accommodation, but we knew we'd be on a long flight, and we also have friends in Phuket, so we might want to invite and have bit of entertainment around the villa. So we arrived at this villa, and I think, the kids' kind of mind was immediately blown. And it was this beautiful, pool villa. Booked it through Airbnb. Again, everything was just, beautiful welcome, cold towels on the beautiful orchid plate. Welcome with a beautiful smile from the villa manager and the lady that was looking after us while we were there. And just immediately,
just as a little side note, we also Airbnb'd our house out, and there was no welcome towels. There were towels, but there weren't sort of cold towels with a welcome drink.
There might have been a welcome football kicked over the fence from our neighbour, perhaps. But so quite a different experience, and that's a whole other almost episode of our experiences of kind of turning our home into our Airbnb plan to kind of help to support our trip. But it was I think just coming back to Phuket and driving from the airport, there was definitely places that I recognised, but there was a lot that I just didn't recognise anymore. It has been hugely built up, which I completely understand, and the growth of the real estate sector in Phuket is such amazing real estate. There's a lot of brands that have kind of evolved and sort of opened hotels there since I've left. So it was really interesting to see who was there, the expansion of the different hospitality brands. We were there technically in low season, which I think it did help in terms of getting around, and I think it can be quite busy in terms of traffic. But I think for the most part, we were able to get around really easily. And it was, the whole island was really accessible, and we were really, really lucky with the weather, I think, which helped. So
low season equates pretty much with rainy season,
usually,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Usually, and we only really had one day of heavy rain. We still managed to eat on the beach, so that's not bad, and that actually makes some nice sort of videos in the pool where you have a bit of a monsoon downpour and you can get some slow-mos going. It's quite fun. So it just adds to the experience. I think one of our kids was particularly looking forward to a monsoon rain.
Yeah. Well, they definitely had that for about half an hour.
Yeah.
But I think, as always for me, Thailand, it's the people and the culture and the food. I think on my top three.
They do that sort of, I see that as a sort of a core level of hospitality. If you good food and treat people really well, it's such a basic core, but also the most memorable and the most impactful. I mean, obviously we bells and whistles on the side of 5-star hotels and everything that we help with is incredible, and it adds to the experience and certainly adds a huge value. But if you get those core bits right, a comfortable bed, great food and really good personable service, it's just so powerful, and it sets the tone all the way through, and sort of saying what you're going to do and going ahead and doing it, whether you're staying in a Airbnb, villa, homestay, hotel, wherever it is you're staying. We sort of found that throughout our stay in both Thailand and in Bali, that was done exceptionally well throughout. And I think in Southeast Asia as well, that they treat kids in a different kind of way than they do than you might find in the West. They're so playful. Like, we had a few taxi drivers that would just replicate the weird noises our children would
and
make.
They were genuinely just really interact and spend time with them and really include them in the whole experience, which I think it made us feel so kind of comfortable and I think because we were enjoying eating out and enjoying the street food and enjoying the local restaurants, you're always mindful, I hope the kids are behaving themselves and things, and actually the sort of engagement and and entertainment from people within the restaurants. The kids just had the most amazing time, and they were so curious. And one particular example, which is so personal to me, is a restaurant when I lived in Phuket. It's just around the corner from where I lived, and we purposely stayed very close to where I used to live, just so I could like show the kids like exactly where my house was and how I'd walk to the beach and where I'd work. But we went to the Riverside restaurant, which is between Bang Tao and Surin on the west coast of Phuket. And the same family are still there, and they remembered us, and they were so chuffed to meet the kids, and their kids now are really grown up. And I was finding old photos of their kids who were, we went to their birthday parties, and it was just amazing to see them. And we ended up going there most evenings because it just was so nice, and the kids were just so well taken care of, and they even give them little gifts on the last night, didn't they? And that was really special, and actually having a good conversation with them around their experiences of Phuket and how Phuket has evolved, and they do rely heavily on tourists, and particularly that area of Bang Tao has developed and changed a little bit more. There's a lot more kind of, I would say, like bougie beach clubs, and there were sort of like rustic kind of wooden huts that would sell a cider beer.
There was quite a change,
much more like cocktails on the beach. And
yeah, there's quite a change since we were last there in terms of they kind of cleared out a lot of the older sort of shacks that would have popped up, and they have been replaced, some quite bougie, but all quite, I guess, a lot more legitimate, probably paying their taxes and things like that. Is the main thing. But you still found a sort of a great experience down on the
incredible,
well.
Yeah, and it's in the sunset.
Family-run
you just can't
restaurants and things like that. Still.
Yeah, exactly. But the Riverside, the family that runs the Riverside, they were saying that a lot of the real estate surrounding them, and indeed the plot of land immediately next door, has been bought by developers to turn them into condos and hotels. And I think they were very adamant that they just will not sell, and that's multiple generations that have been there.
Makes me think of Up, doesn't it? Like
yes, exactly. So that was wonderful to kind of see them again. And then another restaurant which we would call the Pad Thai place, and of course Google Maps, we just didn't really have like smartphones and sort of be able to pinpoint things, and actually it does have a name, and it was great to sort
Google
of
reviews and everything.
Like, my gosh, it's this amazing kind of roadside restaurant that we would go to for, at the time I think it was about 30 baht. It's gone up a little bit, but still not a lot. And we went there most lunchtimes, didn't we, with the kids, and they would have their mango shakes or their fresh coconuts and a pad thai and or some tempura, and again they would really kind of get to know the family and have good sort of interaction with them, and obsessed with their little ice esky, weren't they, of like getting their little bottle of Coke and their ice.
So I mean, that was probably the biggest difference for us was eating out 2-3 times a day in those restaurants, and I would love to be in a situation where our kids would comfortably sit down for a meal in a restaurant and behave and discuss, chat, and enjoy the food and share the flavors. Yeah. I mean, obviously, for the most part, it was just testing out different quality chicken nuggets and fries, and throughout Southeast Asia, and playing with the esky and getting ice all over the floor and things like that. And I can feel myself sometimes, getting a little bit frustrated and wanting them to sort of sit and relax. But in Thailand, there's a completely different way of dealing with situations like that. And I'm not sure I get the pronunciation right, but is it Jai Yen Yen?
Oh, yes, exactly. So Jai Yen Yen is something that so the literal translation is cold heart, which it isn't in the way that we would sort of make it sound, but it just means just being very calm, very considered, and not reacting, and not kind of getting flustered or irate or aggressive in the worst case scenarios. And it was something when I first started working in Thailand, we did a cross-cultural course from a kind of all of the kind of managers that had started, and it was both for sort of expat and Thai managers, and it was just really to understand, I suppose, the nuanced cultural differences of, I suppose, more of a Western mindset where we are quite goals orientated and driven, and we hold deadlines very much to account, and we can be quite direct with our feedback, and if we are frustrated, often we do show it, and I'm not just meaning in a work setting, and just in a we kind of do wear our heart on our sleeve, and that we often kind of react and can be quite vocal about it, let's say. Whereas in Thailand, the land of smiles, you just don't, or you would rarely see any kind of like commotion or fluster. And whilst it might be happening on the inside, you'll see the smile, the gracious service. They, very rarely will frustration ever kind of bubble through. And I think where our judgment of are our kids behaving well, or and us kind of being mindful of that, I think it's very much like, kids will be kids, families are welcome, it's fine, don't worry.
Absolutely.
And I think actually it puts you at ease, and whilst of course you don't want them to be being unsafe or doing anything that's really annoying for them, it was just very much kind of welcomed and just calm and no raised voices. So I think it was a good note for us then to kind of take that as a prompt to kind of just be quite calm with the kids and explain, don't do that, and let's play another game of Uno, and
I mean, we've seen that sort of push in Western hospitality as well, that sort of anti the sort of Marco Pierre White, Gordon Ramsay shouting in kitchens.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of kitchens that are banned swearing and samaging
and really keeping calm in those sort of situations. It feels like a very similar kind of a feel, staying calm. I mean, we would always stay calm dealing with pressure situations in work as much as you possibly can, because you can think straighter, you can really consider the situation. If you let the emotions get the better of you, it's very hard to focus. But it's a really interesting thing to see on a sort of in such a natural way, and it lends itself particularly well to their hospitality style, I suppose, in Southeast Asia. It is it's very special, and as we've said, they treat kids really, really well.
It's
so with paying them attention and understanding that they are kids, which the old saying is, if you can look after the kids in a family, the parents are going to be pretty happy as well.
Exactly.
It's kind
buy
of
another drink.
Buy another drink and stick around. And there were a few occasions like that where
it was such a lovely evening.
Kids
on
the beach or wherever it is, and it's like, shall we have another, or shall we have a dessert, or shall we have some? And you just, if they're happy, we'll keep on spending and staying, and that can make such a difference to your average check.
Absolutely.
which I'm sure there are calculations there, even if you are on a beach at a shack restaurant. I'm sure they're trying to make sure that they can make everything they can from every table, and it is really crucial to do the finances behind
exactly. And
hospitality.
Then speaking of kind of maximizing revenues, one thing that had changed massively is the whole Grab, Gojek, food delivery, taxi, which would be the equivalent, I suppose, to Uber Eats and Uber here. And it was remarkable to see, the smallest restaurants, and whether it was, the sort of, hawker on the street, or whether it was the street food stall, or whether it was a bigger kind of brand or kind of chain restaurant. So many were signed up to Gojek, Grab Food, and just made it so seamless to order. So I think it was really interesting, I suppose, in terms of how accessible perhaps some of the restaurants that maybe a little bit off the beaten track, or would only be able to serve however many places that they had in terms of physical seats, were now able to maximize that whole takeaway and delivery to people in their villas and things, which we made use of probably more in Bali actually than in Phuket, because I think in Phuket we were like really happy to just wander around the corner and where we were. But I think there was definitely times in Bali where we potted out and often ate out for breakfast, because those smoothie bowls were unreal. They were amazing and they were so beautiful. But then the kids would be quite happy, it'd be quite hot during the sort of height of the day, so we would get our kind of nasi goreng delivery, and gosh, dare I say, they discovered the McDonald's delivered, so that was like the end of us trying to really push the local food. But I think that there was a nice balance, not every day, caveat, but yeah, I think that sort of the sort of use of the gig economy, both from the food delivery perspective and ordering taxi so seamlessly and so and I think that was definitely one of my experiences of being in Phuket. Trying to get a taxi was so difficult. So when I lived there like 15 plus years ago, you could only get a metered taxi from the airport. That was the only place. And the rest that was run by like a whole cohort of drivers that may or may not have been registered, who am I to say. And it was often a problem for the hotels as well, because it was really hard for them to order a certain type of car or taxi, or the hotel would sort of sell their limousine services, but that was quite a high price point, so might not have suited everyone. So I think the accessibility of being able to order taxis and get around the island was great. Now I appreciate that also brings a more impact around traffic, and there's definitely parts of like Chongtele just outside of Bang Krachao Beach which were very, very congested, much more so than I ever remember. And
built in also, because there's so much construction work, it wasn't just like there were cement mixers going down these narrow roads. Exactly. So it really does put that element of danger, I suppose, around the corner if you're not paying attention. And you mentioned the technology because of this also. We noticed people stuck to their phones everywhere, whether it was tuk-tuks in Bangkok or taxi drivers.
Videos while they were driving us.
Tuk-tuk is...
Or doing a video call. There was one of the taxi drivers was videoing his kid and saying, I've got, like, and in Thailand, it's a bit of a fun term, but like a farang. So I've got foreigners in my car, and he's like, farang. And they were all waving Sawadee ka. So it was just, very like random. But just having a video call whilst driving us to the airport in Bangkok. But yes,
I suppose that kind of also sort of points to the sort of, when you're using apps like that, and anyone can be using them, right? Because the translations are all within the app.
And
it kind of equalizes a lot of they don't necessarily know who's booking when they get the booking. It could be local, could be Farang, could be anyone. There's something about that really equalizes out kind of the experience for everyone.
There was a couple of the translate. I think we were coming back from Phuket town. It's quite busy after a market, and the driver wanted to communicate something with us, and he just I think did a voice note, and then it translated it for us so we could communicate and just kind of check something. So I mean it really was, and I do wonder whether the gig economy in Southeast Asia has opened up more opportunity, or whether it's potentially sort of diluted the ability for people to earn a living, and similar to, I suppose, some of the like the Hackney cabs in London, and how there's a bit of controversy around like what the service they offer versus other kind of tech-based apps, and just kind of the impact on that. But it was really interesting. I think that was definitely one of the biggest changes that I certainly saw when kind of returning, as well as just the sort of upmarket accommodation in Phuket was incredible, and then we went off to Bali. So another change that had just come into effect were all of the e-visas, and which took you a little while, didn't it? You were pleased
post-traumatic stress from that experience.
I think it 3 hours.
It probably took about 3 hours to just kind of
all the pre-arrival forms.
Unlike some of the forms for Thailand, where you could just tick a box and say yes, all the same address and information for every traveller travelling together. It was slightly different for the Indonesian e-visa, and it was a much more manual process. But once we got there, it was seamless.
Yeah, it really was. And we could all go through the electronic gates, which I think was great, because that's something here with, if you're travelling with under 18s, you often have to wait in the queue. So yeah, we kind of arrived, went straight.
That was
through.
also challenging though, because
they
sent a kid through. They were actually too small to see the cameras.
Yes.
And then they got stuck in there, and then some kids got through, and then some couldn't get through, and then we had kids left on other side of the gates, and we had to split up. Yeah. Wow. We all survived. It was all a learning experience.
It really was. So we kind of navigated airports, and then again, the most amazing transfers. And I think it was Gojek from Bali, from the airport.
So Gojek is a kind of an Indonesian only app.
Yes.
So I think they basically started their own app rather than allow Uber or Grab or there's a few other Bolt and things like that. They all do the same sort of thing. But it was an Indonesian only app, which sort of promises to share more money with the drivers, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And really lovely experience. So we knew that we would have a bit of a journey ahead. So heading up to Ubud, which is in the kind of centre of Bali.
So eat, pray, love country.
It is, and
wellness retreats.
It was and just beautiful, so green and surrounded by all the rice fields, and it's just so charming. And I think because it, eat, pray, love, and the whole putting that on the world stage, it was absolutely a lot busier than when I had visited 15, 16 years ago as a sort of bohemian backpacker destination. But I think whilst it was busy and there was definitely kind of flashpoints with traffic during the day, it still had so much charm, and I loved Ubud. So we went to the monkey forest, which they're wild monkeys, but I would say very kind of tame and used to humans, and there are kind of rangers, I think, that do make sure that people aren't kind of feeding them when they shouldn't be, and not taking stuff in that they shouldn't. We saw an interesting example where someone brought a vape in and the monkey took it off them, which questionable tourist behaviour, but anyway, but the kids, I think
couldn't tell if he inhaled or not.
Let's hope not. But the experience of wildlife was another completely new experience. So we had monkeys in Ubud. In Phuket, we'd done an amazing boat trip, hadn't we, in Phang Nga Bay, and kids were...
Which to me is Thailand at its most sort of special.
Yeah,
unique. That
so
Phang Nga
iconic.
Bay is iconic. And sea eagles was quite interesting. All right, we didn't really go under the water much. We didn't do any snorkeling there.
It was a tricky time of year, I think, to do that in Thailand. But then we were able to do once we left Ubud, we went up to the Ahmed coast, which is quite famous for a lot of shipwrecks, and we booked to go and stay next to a shipwreck, which I thought I'd been diving with my sister. Turns out it was a totally different one further up the road, but anyway, it was a lucky mistake, because where we ended up staying was amazing. And again, the power of technology, we were able to connect through, I think it was like Google Maps and then WhatsApp with a local boat captain who was just, down on the main beach from where we were staying. So we went out on his kind of 5-6-seater boat. He knew all the best kind of snorkeling spots. It was so personalised.
He was really aware of the tide, wasn't he, as well? Like there was a very reassuring trip.
It's quite windy at that time of year as well. So he was really mindful of how choppy it was, and it was incredible. And he found turtles, and we swam with turtles with the kids, which was just incredible, as well as seeing all of the tropical fish and corals and everything. So
underwater temples. And it's Bali has a terrible water safety record, so it was something we were quite aware of. There were some sort of serious accidents shortly before we arrived, and I think about 4 fatal accidents this year in
This year.
2025, I believe. So it was something that we were quite conscious about. But it was great to sort of connect with someone who had lots of really positive reviews on Google Maps, and very easy to then contact through WhatsApp, and then she's so engaging as well, just like replying really quickly. You know, such a simple bit of technology. You know, I'm sure he isn't putting it in a CRM or emailing anyone afterwards, but just using simple technology really well, getting the most out of it. And then he asked for a review, and we did, and it helps him build that reach and get out there and reach his
and the
potential
money
customers
went directly
quickly.
to him, and then he brought an extra person on the boat just to kind of help to spot the kids from the boat, so it, you know, kind of help them in and out the water, which we were so grateful for. And I think there was definitely that I was much more safety conscious than I probably was a few years ago. Since becoming a parent, so I think factoring that sort of safety lens across all of the decisions, where I was a bit more kind of
carefree
risk taker previously. So I think it was really reassuring to go with someone that knew the water so well. And we just had a really good feeling for it. And I think, as you say, check the reviews, and again, the importance of reviews and making sure that we left a review as well, and kind of feeding back into the system. So we kind of coming back to Ubud, I think that probably again was another place that had retained its charm. Quite interesting. We our eldest actually had said, can we do a zip wire somewhere? And I was like, actually, funny you should mention it. There is a zip wire. It's over the rice terraces. Actually, it would be beautiful for you to see and fun for you to do. But I was really wary that also around that area there was the whole swing and like Instagrammable setups. But we thought, do you know what? Let's just kind of embrace. We're here. Let's give it a go. We purposely didn't book on the kind of packages. I mean, if you look on Get Your Guide, you can actually see a sort of Instagram tour package, which to me is a very surface level experience of kind of going to all of these sites, not really taking much of it in, and just kind of putting on a lovely outfit and getting these snaps, uploading and not necessarily really checking into the experience. Again, my own perspective. So we were kind of mindful that we didn't want this kind of like package tour. So again, magic of WhatsApp, got their number, messaged them directly, just say, look, we just want to come do the zip wire. You know, what's the situation? And it was high season as well, so I was really mindful that it's going to be really busy, but actually it was brilliant. We just kind of went straight there. The Indonesian guides were brilliant, and again had such great like banter
fun with the kids.
And so we went across with the two little ones, and then our eldest was very brave to go on his own, a little bit rickety in parts, but it was brilliant, and it was so amazing to see it all. And you know, we did see the Instagram kind of, you know, you would check in and then people would kind of choose their floaty dress from the sort of rental area and then go on the swing, and there'd be a photographer and a videographer and you know, but look, I that is kind of, I appreciate that's kind of part of the travel experience for many. And
there was a bicycle one as well, where they're sort of cycling across like a zip wire or a so it was great to, I mean, beautiful, and hence why it is so popular. So kind of Ubud, and then we did the kekek dance, so the traditional Balinese, and that was really, we kind of went to one a little bit further out of town, and it was all of the people from the local village that work on it. So it was predominantly sort of male characters in the story, but then there was two sort of female characters. They were all from the village. So we're talking about it's about 100 men sitting around in a circle, all making the kind of constant noise as the sort of musical accompaniment, really, wasn't it? And then some dancing going on with fire, and great. I mean, incredible experience, and so different and so unique. And really fun, and kind of in the middle of nowhere, really. It was probably a good sort of 20 minutes outside of Ubud. And so traffic getting back in, and taxis and all that kind of stuff. But you know, it's incredible experience, and just an amazing part of the world. We also all went for massages, which
We
was
did
quite
in
fun.
Ubud. That was amazing. Yeah, the kids were really curious about trying one. So yeah, we had I think the boys had their foot massage, and then
We all wanted to
just
go more, basically.
fell asleep, and we were like, oh great, this is all we needed to do for a bit of peace and quiet. But that was amazing. I mean, I think Bali and Thailand are just so well known for their massages, which are very different in style to each other. So yeah, that was really special. And actually where we were staying, so we stayed in a homestay in Ubud and in Ahmed.
Yeah.
And the homestay was just up the road from the sort of rice walk, and actually the massage place, we went there, and then we just kind of followed it up, and just again like these amazing rice terraces, and there's a lovely loop, isn't there, back into Ubud, but there's lovely warungs all the way along, and you can still see people working in the fields, and it was, yeah, that was really special. We did that walk a couple of times. And then we just, I love the shopping. So yes, lots of nice like jewellery, and just I love that whole like boho. Just want to like embrace the like boho Bali like vibes. And we saw like a local football match, and it was just, I think Ubud was just a real kind of hit for the culture, wasn't it? And then
it was a lot more. I found Ubud was all of Bali, but especially Ubud and Sunur, which we went to later. Just that service level is just really slick.
It really was.
There's a huge Australian influence in the area, and you can see that within the food offerings that they have. But the actual really, I mean, they would take an order, repeat the order, make it really, really clear. Just really great service, and that on top of the personable level of service you would get more in Thailand, that when you get that mix, that really personable style, friendly style, alongside the really slick, well-trained, I guess because they're so much busier, and they have so many the big restaurants in there as well, that were much busier than some of the restaurants we went to in Thailand. It sort of has to change the style. It has to be a bit more efficient, but it maintains that style as well. So it was.
The food was incredible, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, everywhere.
It's the one we most look forward to, the food, I think, and it didn't fail to give us everything we wanted. It was very, very special. Thank you for listening to The Halo Effect, Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. We hope today's episode has offered some insights and encouragement to anyone navigating the world of hospitality or entrepreneurship. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question, want to suggest a topic, or interested in just joining us as a guest, you'll find our contact details in the show notes. Don't forget to follow, like, or subscribe to The Halo Effect on your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thank you, and we can't wait to welcome you back for more stories and inspiration.